Today's Mother's Day in Australia, and it's very fitting that we honour all women that have had children, that are mothers. And so I want to talk, we're going to honour some people in our On the Ground service today, and we're going to honour a few women. I call them women of virtue, and I love this. But before we do, we give them a surprise hamper or something with a few chocolates to help their weight control and other sweet things. But I want to share a story in the Bible that blows me away. And it's the story of a woman called Deborah. And it's in Judges chapter 4. And it starts off awful. It says this: the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord. These were the dark times in Israel where the people just kept rebelling against God, pursuing whatever they wanted, and God allowed their enemies to come in and dominate and plunder the nation. And then it goes on, children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and so the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. And the commander of his army, the brutal man in the field that led the plundering armies, his name was Sisera. Now in this story, there's three women that need to be featured on Mother's Day. And I want you to get this, it's very important. There was a woman who was a judge in Israel, and they had very oppressed conditions, and she'd sit under a tree. People had come to her for godly wisdom and advice. And in chapter 4, the story of how this all unfolds takes place. And in chapter 5, after they've won this great victory, Deborah sings this song of triumph before the Lord. And the story is that this woman, Deborah, was, counseling and giving people the word of the Lord. And God said, awake, Deborah, awake. This is not a time to simply do the same things. And you're losing the plot. Awake. Call the nation to arise. I'll give you victory if you won't go woke on me. And so Deborah gets up, goes and stirs up the commander of the army of Israel. They haven't got a lot going for them, but he stirs up Barak. I said, Barak, you got to call what's left of our armies together. We've got to go fight against this incredible horde that are just devastating our nation. And she says this to Barak: I will ride in the chariot with you. I love that. I'll get in the chariot with you and ride with the armies of the Lord into battle. And long story short, they do that. The people roll up and rock up to go to battle, and they win the battle against Sisera. And they put their armies to flight, and they chase them, pursue them, and they're killing them, etc., as they flee the nation of Israel. And Sisera, somehow he's knocked out of his chariot, and he's got to run for his life through all the tents in the tribes of Israel. And he runs down, he's absolutely exhausted, runs into this neighborhood, and there's a woman there in one of the tents, in one of the suburbs. Her name is Jael, Jael, Jael with the nail or the tent peg. And she says to Sisera, she knows who he is. He's dressed for war in the wrong colors. She says, come in here, my lord. You look worn out. Come in here. You can lie down and have a rest for a while. I'll make you some warm milk and all this stuff. And so he lays down, goes to sleep, and she goes over and gets a tent peg, huge big tent, and with a hammer. I don't know where you find these things in a woman's kitchen, but anyway, she found them. Goes over and nails him to every argument, every opposition, nails him to the floor. Huge tent peg. And he's dead. And then Barak comes along. She says, come in here. You'll find the enemy of your soul. And this little woman in the suburbs brings about the victory. And then the last woman is the one who's the mother of Sisera, the mother of a bad guy, the mother of a renegade, a plunderer, a thief. And in Judges 5:28, it says this, the mother of Sisera looked through the window of her home and cried out through the lattice, why is his chariot so long in coming? What tarries the clatter of the hooves of his chariots? We normally, when he comes home from plundering, pillaging, killing and raping and whatever, he comes home and we divide the spoils of our plunder. What's holding him? Of course, he's dead. He's met a triumphant woman of faith. And these three women, the first one is called, listen to this in Judges 5:7, village life ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose as a mother in Israel. I love strong women in the church. I love women that know who they are in God and in Christ, and arise and stir the men to action, pray them into being. And that's what she said. I'm a mother in Israel. I've brought about victory at the hand of God. I've gone and stirred up Barak to get your act together, and let's ride triumphantly together. And so that's the first mother we see in this story, a mother in Israel. The next one is Jael. Jael with the nail that pierced his temple. She's a mother in the suburbs, a woman in the tents. Listen to Judges 5:24. Most blessed among women is Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Blessed is she among women in tents. So we've got a mother in Israel that because she stood up for God, she's inspired a mother of kids and family in the suburbs to also do something heroic. I love this. And then, of course, you've got the last mother that didn't address the wickedness in her son and the rebellion and the anti-God stance. And so she let him go his way. And as always happens, he is brought down by the kingdom of God. Mark my words. If you're a mum and you've got kids that are running away from God, even speaking against God, you better get on your knees and do something about it. Otherwise, their end will not be pleasant. And we don't want that. And this is what Sisera, the mother, looked through the window and she's saying, where are they? Why isn't he coming? He brings the spoil of victory. And it's not happening. No, because he's met his match. It's time for a change. And so these three women, incredibly important in our lives. A mother in Israel, mothers in the suburbs that have strength of their convictions, and mothers of wayward kids that refuse to become a partner, an accomplice to their wickedness. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm going to pray you back into the way of God. That's a mother that's learned something. And so in our online, on the ground church right now, we're honoring some women of virtue. But I want to go a bit further and talk about a mother in Israel. And I want to talk about my wife, Marion. I know I talk about her all the time and make jokes and whatever else. But today, on Mother's Day, I want to honor the mother of the house. She's a brilliant girl, woman, grandma. Every season of our life, there's been brilliance in the way she's lived for God. But she's the mother of this house, Epic Church, Sunshine Coast, Australia, in Queensland. And this woman, there's 4 words that I use today. to describe my wife, the mother in Israel of our church. And the 4 words are this. The first one is faith. Marion knew when we got married, she was marrying a boy with a call of God on his life. She, like everyone else, was amazed that that was true because of the nonsense that I was having to deal with in my life. But God was working in that. But literally, from day one, Marion has had faith. Stand together. Here she is at 73. We started a new church, decided to pioneer this new church called Epic. She knew the sacrifice. It was time for her to retire and enjoy life and the investment that we have to put in to see God's kingdom come into our city of Caloundra. She's up every week at our early morning prayer meetings. It's half the young people. Youth can't even get there. She's up and praying her heart out. She's a woman of faith. She loves the presence of God. Her worship songs may be different to mine. She loves the Gaithers. I'm not going to tell you who I like, but we're a bit different in that way. But she just loves the presence of God. She's got faith to believe that it's our time to see the victory. She knows, I know, together we agree. We're not called to have a little remnant in a back room. We're called to grow a great church for God. Change our world for good and for God. She's up for it with faith. I love that. Man, let me speak to the men for a minute. If you've got a woman of faith in your house, that doesn't give you an excuse to be a dropkick. No. She wants to get into a chariot with you, ride and storm the enemy. And on Mother's Day, let me tell the men, grow up. Don't let your woman become a spiritual giant and you're still a little punk kid and you're 45 years of age. No. Maybe it's time to get into the chariot and dare to believe God for something incredible. So faith is the first thing that I honor Marion with having and daring to believe for great things. The second word that describes Marion is sweet. Sweet. She always keeps a sweet spirit. I don't know that anyone can get her riled and, stirred up, except apart from me, of course, because that's a gift. But I've never seen her lose it with people. She never falls apart, no matter what we go through. She's consistent in loving other people. She'll always make an excuse for their stupidity. Oh, well, they're probably going through tough. And she just loves up on them. She sees the good in other people all the time. It's amazing to me. She forgives quickly. She doesn't take offense. And if you're in the ministry, it's easier to take offense because people say dumb things all the time. And she's a defender of the weak and the broken and the stupid. Man, some days I just, that person, they're such an idiot. Marion takes me to task with her sweet spirit. Well, you don't know. You've never walked in their shoes. And it's not helping right now, but she keeps on going. You don't know their backstory. You don't know what they're going through. Don't talk like that about them. Love them. And she keeps on until finally I just have to be quiet and say, well, I can't say anything. She's right again. She's got a sweet spirit. I love that. I love women that keep a sweet spirit. They're not gossipers. They're not, rumor mongers. They're not offense carriers. They keep a sweet spirit. The third one about marriage. She's a woman of faith. She keeps a sweet spirit. The third one is servant. Marion's a servant to anybody. She doesn't have this hierarchy thing of life. Well, I'm the senior pastor's wife. I've got to sit in the front row. She would sit up the back if it meant serving people better. But I want her next to me. So if there's anything I need to ask her permission of, she's there. So she's always serving others. That's her joy. I love women that find joy in serving. I love men who find joy in serving. It's easy to be the top dog and demand and expect your privileges. Walk in a few minutes before service starts. Walk around, come down to the front row, then walk out. And, no. If you want to be a part of this house, you need the spirit my wife carries, a servant spirit, serving God and serving others. And so her joy is in serving. It's not an arduous thing. She doesn't get upset. She's always cooking meals for other people. I walk in to the kitchen, it smells good, and I say, what is it? That smells good. Let me smack. It's not for you. But she says it sweetly. It's not for you. This is for my friends. And I realize she's on another mission to serve the people of God. I think it should be the most natural thing in the world for the righteous, the people of God, to serve one another. If you find a need, meet it in Jesus' name. And she lives that. I love her for that. You'd think I'd lose a lot of weight for all the meals I've missed. But no, when I miss, I go to Macca's. And therefore, this is the result. And the last word, faith, keeping a sweet spirit, serving others. The last word is steadfast. Steadfast. I call it stubborn in our circumstances, but the Bible calls it steadfast. She just stands firm when she believes something. She stands firm. Well, you got a word from God, that'll come to pass. Yeah, but I'm having doubts. No, it'll come to pass. Stand firm. And she's steadfast in faith. She rides out the storms. She doesn't go under. She's not one of those that lives on an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you see them in church smiling, the next they're home in a valley of tears. She's not like that. She is strong, steadfast, and she will ride out a storm. Doesn't mean there's not pain. Doesn't mean there's not tears at night. But she'll ride it out. We're going to come through this stronger, wiser, better for God. And I love her for that. Man, we went through a few years recently of sickness. Firstly, Marion had cancer with operation after operation, and we had to ride that thing together. I said, get in the chariot with me. We'll ride through this. We'll come through it. And therefore, and then I got cancer, and I went through a year or two of quite difficult circumstances. And so she said to me, get in the chariot with me. We'll ride out this together. You hear what I'm saying? Man, I thank God for a mother in Israel. I thank God for the woman I've married. She makes me look good in the chariot. And I love her for that. And Marion, today, and we're doing this on the ground, today, you are truly a mother in Israel, and we honor you for that. I've made sure your basket has no chocolates or anything. It's got a new electric drill in it and a new pistol for shooting and things like that I'm sure we'll use together. Anyway, here's the last point about this. And when I saw this, I thought, this is pretty amazing. Judges 4 talks about the problem in the land and the battle with Barak and Deborah, Jael with the nail, and Sisera being defeated in Judges 4. In Judges 5, it's Deborah's song of victory, where she describes what God did. But in Judges 6, and as I read through these chapters, Judges 6 is about a young man called Gideon. And against his father's house, and they were gutless and they wouldn't do anything, this young guy said, I got to do something. I'm going to rise up in faith and have a go for God. And I thought, where did this young guy learn this from? Who influenced him to take a risk like this? And then I think the Holy Spirit showed me an overview of Judges 4, 5, and 6. The people haven't changed. The religious church hasn't changed. But a mother in Israel, her incredible action of faith influenced someone in her generation, Jael, a mother in the suburbs, to be a part of the great victory, but not even knowing whether Gideon was a young boy in Israel at the time, and he watched all this. And he saw these women of virtue, mothers in Israel, bringing about the victory. And he said, I want to be like that. I don't know if it was that close in time or whether it was more distant. And he knew of the story and the great recounting of the story of Deborah and Barak and Jael with the nail. And he's something God in his heart. God, give me the opportunity. Here's what I'm saying. Don't you ever despise being a mother in Israel. You have the most powerful influence over children and young people of any person in their world. This is so profound. If ever I see a family that's living in right order and loving God, 99% of the time, I look at the mother, not the father. I look at the mother and I find a mother that's been consistent, strong in faith, sweet of spirit, steadfast, immovable, just unbelievable women. And their children come through all of the stuff to be raised up as deliverers and people of faith and strength in their generation by the will of God. I pray the blessing of the Lord on every woman, every mother here today. May you be a mother in Israel, a woman of great virtue and strength, but even greater influence in your world, among your children and their peers and their friends, that we might have the next generation stronger because you have stood firm in your faith and dared to believe God for a great season. Father, bless today every person watching, every mother. May they hear the call to be a mother in Israel, strong of faith, sweet of spirit, steadfast, strong, resilient, in the name of Jesus. And everybody said, I want you to have a great Mother's Day. Honor your mothers incredibly. Make it, go out of your way to connect and speak good words and thanks to your mother who has sacrificed so much that you might know the blessing of the Lord. Today, have a great day. God bless you. See you next week in Jesus' name.